Hey, Megan here. So doing one of my many doom scrolls that Amex will love on Etsy, and I come across a couple of plants that are dragon named. Now, I've already covered dragon named plants, and I hadn't realized that I had missed a whole bunch of them apparently. So I'm like, well, won't that be interesting? Maybe I should look at some more plants and buy them. I haven't though. Been good. Just want to make that clear. However, as I'm looking around, I noticed that there is a plant called the Alocasia Emerald Dragon. And I'm like, amazing. What is that? Why have I never heard of this plant? So I go into Reddit, which is usually where I'll start looking for plant information because I want to see pictures from other people who have had this, and I can't find it. I can't find anyone talking about an emerald green dragon Alocasia. I get a little suspicious. But I do stumble on one post on Reddit that talks about the Emerald Dragon Scale Alocasia, which is just another name for the Alocasia Bisma Platinum. And I'm like, that's interesting. So I go back to Wishlist Foliage on Etsy and I check to see if they have Alocasia Bisma Platinum, and they do. Their cheapest price for the Platinum is $9.60 USD at the time of this filming, but their price for the Emerald Green Dragon is $13.87. Is this the same plant? So I start digging into my sources and find out that yes, it is the same plant. I want to specify going forward, I have worked with Wishlist Foliage. I have bought plants from them before. I have not had a problem. Transactions have been great. The plants have been, well, everything has worked fine. So I'm not calling them out in particular. They just happen to be the example that I found. So I want to show you how you can avoid having this happen to yourself. I'm really nervous to say the word scam because I don't think it's a scam. I think it's just sort of clever marketing for people who won't think a second thought about it. Sellers can be tricky. So let's talk about ways to prevent yourself from spending more money than you have to. Let's put it that way. Step one, find specific sources that can corroborate you are getting the plant that you think with the rarity level that you think. For alocasias, there's the Alocasia subreddit, but there are other subreddits for any plant you can think of, and any species you can think of, I should say. Tradescantias, pothos, monsteras, you name it. I will leave a list in the description for you so that you have a good starting place. But don't just rely on Reddit. Look for websites that are good primary sources, I should say. Like I didn't want to say academic because then that just makes people think of .edu, and .edu sources are great, .gov sources are great, but they often don't get down into that kind of nitty gritty. So a perfect example is Aeroidpedia. Aeroidpedia is not an edu, it's not a gov, but I would say it's a very good definitive source for aeroid plants like alocasias. So you've got all these bookmarks. Next, if you've never heard of it, Google it. Don't just assume that because you haven't heard of it, it's a rare plant. This is the perfect example of that not being the case. I'd never heard of an emerald green dragon. Turns out it's an Alocasia bisma, which is not very common, but there's a $4 difference in this plant, right? So, okay. 3, read the reviews. There is this trend going on Etsy for rare plants to be sold by scammers and have really interesting reviews that are from people who have a picture of the plant, and everyone just seems to be raving. Like, it's so good. It's so great. This deal is amazing that you can get this rare variegated pink Alocasia, or, like a Monstera lion, or I don't remember. I don't remember what the newest rarest monstera is, and it will change anyway. So you get my point. There's this trend of like these people, these sellers on Etsy, not like having just everything too good to be true. The price is too good to be true. The reviews are amazing. But then you start to look a little bit and see that they've never sold a plant before. And that's not even like they have like plant adjacent stuff that they sell and it's just like this is their first plant, but more that it is like they sell, I don't know, beaded jewelry. And now they've all of a sudden got a stock of really rare plants, and they're from Thailand or Vietnam or the Philippines, like some sort of place that would make it really hard to track, especially if you're in, North America or Europe or something like that. If you go into these reviews, be very skeptical. Especially if they all are raving and they all have one picture. You can actually click on the profile of a reviewer and you'll see that they have only ever reviewed that one product. And most likely they're either a new account, or in my theory, they're a account that was either phished because it's been dormant for so long, or it was an account sold to someone else, or it's most likely not really the person who you think, and they're not really giving the experience that you think they are. Most likely it is a setup. Let's put it that way. But basically, even on Etsy, if it's too good to be true, it is definitely not real. Number 4, always pay with credit cards that have good protection. I always prefer, this is not an ad for them, but I always prefer to use American Express because in my experience, they have had way more buyer protection than Chase, Capital One, any of my other cards ever have. And maybe that's changed, but my experience has been too great with Amex for me to ever opt for something else in case I need help. I don't want to have to deal with all the paperwork that Chase will make me deal with when Amex will use my buying history and my account status with them to understand that I have most likely been scammed. And I'm not trying to scam them. That's not to say that they won't make me use, explain to them what happened or something, but just, you get my point. Use credit cards. Don't use debit cards. Don't pay with wire transfers. Use something that can protect you in the case that you do get scammed. And I will say that if you're dealing with Etsy or eBay, most likely they are also going to give you some kind of protection too. But just as you can't always rely on that. Protect yourself in the best way possible, both their protection and credit card protection. Okay. Last but not least, ask questions. Reach out to the seller. Try and get a vibe. What are you feeling from them? Is your gut telling you I don't think this is right? Or are they answering your questions in a way that makes you feel more comfortable? But always remain skeptical. Again, if it looks too good to be true, especially online, it most likely is. So that's it. That was just a quick little run over. Like I said, I noticed this when I was looking through plants, and I just wanted to give you a little guide to make sure that you don't get scammed. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, I'd love a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel for more fun with plants. Otherwise, I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna buy more plants today, I promise. But I will see you in the next video.